Hello, this is Digital Loop, Season 2, Episode 24. You know what 24 means? 24 means it's the end of the season. Hi, Ivan, how are you?
Hi, I thought that 24 means Jack Bauer is coming. But yeah, it's the end of the season.
I would love to have you as a guest. It would be a Big Bang. And Big Bang is actually what we're going to do today. We're going to end the show with a Big Bang. Not the Big Bang Theory either. I would love to also have Sheldon here on the show. But the Big Bang Disruption. The Big Bang Disruption is a concept that was created by Accenture, the research firm, a few months ago, maybe like almost more than a year ago now. And Ivan will tell you what exactly it is, and then we can debate about it. Ivan.
Yeah, there are two authors of this concept. They are Larry Downs and Paul Nunez. I don't know if I told his name right, but both of these gentlemen, they wrote a book called Big Bang Disruption. In this book, they argue that everything has changed, that what in the past, the whole concept of disruptive innovation created by Professor Christensen it used to be very slow, right? You know, disruption took a lot of time, and this allowed to companies to get ready for it. And on the other hand, disruption for most of the time meant, you know, when companies will bring new products to the market that they were of inferior quality or cheaper.
Yeah, that's expensive.
So, because of that, they will disrupt the market. Competition will start, and everything will get really competitive. Their argument now is that what they're saying is that thanks to advancements on technology and new digital technology, this disruption is happening a lot faster. So companies cannot afford to just wait and see what's going to happen. They need to be ready, because at any moment in time, a new competitor can arrive, and out of nowhere, disruption can happen instantly. One of the examples that they gave is, for example, this game, I don't know if you remember, Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
Flappy Bird, for 8 months, was on incubation, and then out of nowhere, it appeared. It was a big bang, millions in dollars in sales, and then over a month later, it disappeared. So this is an example of what's happening, and when we connected with technologies, a good example that they give, and this is what made me realize that this is actually a very important subject that we need to discuss, is, for example, the example of standalone GPS versus, you know, free Google Maps. You know, companies, the standalone GPS was a disruption for the maps printing companies, and, you know, all of the people start buying standalone GPS. Now there is a new option that is cheaper, because most of the time it's free. You cannot go better than free, and it's sometimes even better quality, kind of like Google Maps. So this has completely disrupted the industry. I don't know if there are many people buying standalone GPS systems anymore, when you know that you can have, you know, the same service for free. So this is the concept.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they build upon what Christensen did with the Innovator's Dilemma, where effectively, like you said, you know, a company would not see on its radar that there's a cheaper and maybe more simple product coming up out of the pipeline of a competitor that suddenly disrupts the market. That's the whole book of the Innovator's Dilemma by Christensen. If you've never read it, you should read it. It's one of the, you know, era-defining books, because everybody keeps quoting it, like I just did. And it's true what these authors are trying to say here is that basically what we're seeing is that, oh, maybe our product doesn't need to actually be that much cheaper, especially doesn't mean to be simpler. Cheaper it always is. I mean, it often is. Sorry, you just mentioned the example of maps. And of course, also, when you think about it, it's not only about the apps, the fact that the apps are embedded on a smartphone. So the iPhone, for instance, when it came out, had Google Maps. So if you have an iPhone and a standalone GPS, why would you choose a standalone GPS when you can have everything in a phone? So in that sense, is it cheaper? Well, yes, it is, because the maps is embedded in a phone that does many other things. It is simpler. This is what they say. It's not actually simpler, because the phone actually offers more features, not less features. And even Google Maps offers probably a lot more features, though it's debatable if it was the case when it was launched. But the idea is that suddenly, you know, time is getting much more like narrow. So suddenly you don't have as much time to react So, and this is something we've been talking, you and me, about in all these 2 seasons of the Digital Loop, is this acceleration, or at least this, we see, it seems that everything is going so fast that, companies have a hard time now reacting, and there's like new products that take a market. The other example they're using, this is where I will have some critic later in the show. The other example they're going is how, WhatsApp was able to disrupt the SMS industry, saying that something coming out of nowhere, and that's where I do not especially agree, because it doesn't come out of nowhere, but suddenly, there was a big bang. The entire SMS industry was disrupted. I mean, it still exists, obviously. The SMS industry hasn't disappeared, but this is how they see it. So a big bang is a bit probably buzzworthy, but it's an interesting concept. Basically, if you think about it, you think about Christensen had a bell curve when he was talking about disruption, and here you have suddenly a shark fin. So it means suddenly, the element of surprise of disruption is extremely quick. This is what Larry and Paul are talking. I'm not going to say their last names because we don't agree on how to say Paul's last names here. Maybe there are. Do you want to go through the steps they mentioned in the framework, or do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if you can do that, because I don't have that in my notes right here.
Yeah, I read a book. So one other thing they say is like the first they call that period just before the Big Bang, they call it the singularity, and what they say that at that point in time you have to address truth tellers. So no, they're not some kind of magicians. According to them, in every company, there's outsiders, consultants, maybe like Ivan or maybe like me. There are people that can spot, the upcoming wave, and these companies should actually talk to these people. Sometimes, again, they can be located within your company. Sometimes they're just outsiders, because these are the people that will tell you, hey, you know what? You should look at this trend, because this trend is going to disrupt you completely, especially people who have a lot of lateral thinking, because more often than not now what happens is you're not being disrupted by a similar industry, you're being disrupted by something completely different, because all these, like Ivan said before, all these technologies come together. So suddenly, you're a bank and you're being disrupted by a mobile phone company, or this is the kind of stuff that happens. So maybe this is where you need sometimes an outsider point of view. So they call those truth tellers, people that they take it. One of the examples I think they use in the book, I'm not entirely sure because I've read the book now a long time ago, I must admit, was a guy in the US. It's not exactly as Big Bang, but it's a good idea of what is a truth teller. Is a guy who was at Toyota. So the car company, seeing that Toyota should own part of the luxury market, he came out with the idea of Lexus and said that Toyota should actually have a luxury brand. And maybe Toyota didn't see that, because for them it was about, we can do like a premium Toyota, like to the top of the line of the car. But they didn't think about, maybe we should actually have a different brand, something that appeals to a different consumer, something that appeals to a different market. And that's what they did, it very successfully, so in the US at least. So this is kind of idea. So having someone that tells you, okay, you should look at this part. Now they don't say exactly how do you find a truth teller. So we can have, maybe you can call Ivan and myself and we can try to be truth tellers. And then to go fast, they go to another period. So this whole period is singularity. Then the Big Bang happens. When the Big Bang happens, suddenly everything gets wacky, and oh wow, what's happening? And this is a bit what's apparently happening with the taxi industry and Uber. Suddenly like, oh damn, Uber is going so fast, entering markets very quickly, hiring new people very quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of pushback by lobbying and lobbyists and regulation, but this is the Big Bang. Suddenly something happens so fast that you don't even know exactly how to react. One of the reactions, as I just mentioned, was regulation. And after that, you have the crunch. So suddenly, the winner takes it all. It's not exactly that, but basically, you disrupted your market, and then how you can actually survive. That goes to, at the end, entropy, which is the point where you are going to be disrupted. So if I take the example of Uber, Uber takes the market, it's still in a Big Bang phase now, and at some point, it will consolidate its wins, if it wins, because the jury's still out, and then maybe it will again be itself disrupted by something else, driverless cars, whatever that is. So this is a bit the concept, if you want, of that. And sorry, I babbled. Ivan, please tell me your thoughts.
It was very, very, very nicely bubbled. No, I mean this is a fascinating concept, and this is something that we've been talking throughout the whole season. The fact that the pace of change is just getting faster and faster. We've been talking about digital transformation for a long time, and this is something that both of us, we advise to our clients a lot about the fact that companies need to build awareness about the current new reality that we're having, and that the new product life cycles, product development, everything has changed. And an example that I like to give is, for example, how also companies do not have to all of a sudden become with new innovations on their own, but they can cooperate and they can come up. They can either acquire them, or they can cooperate to develop new innovations. An example that I love is Apple. In April of last year, they approached Oakley. They approached Oakley with an idea, introducing them to a third party that actually focused on developing sensors. And basically what they say is, hey, by Christmas time, we would like to sell in our Apple stores a new product by Oakley. So guys, get together and surprise us. And by November, that's like 4 or 5 months later, they came up with these amazing goggles that have display and shows you has a speedometer, has GPS, has the display inside so you can see how fast you're going and stuff like this. And of course, they sold out, and it was a huge success. And everything happened in a matter of 5 months, which is something that could have been unheard of, a few years ago. So that's one important element. Second important element, that this is happening in all the industries. It's not just high-tech, it's not just telco, it's not just software, but this is happening in every single industry, because the computer power, computers, sensors, display, all these technologies getting cheaper and cheaper, it's getting more affordable, and it's starting to get embedded into all the different systems that are appearing in different industries. So whether we are talking about construction or logistics or whatever, computer digital, we love this word, digital, it's an important part of it. And if you are not ready to embrace this new reality, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, I will add 2 things. I mean, one I agree, one I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, the first thing, you're right, but the speed of it, I mean, again, something, as you said, we've talked here over and over, so I hope we don't bore the audience with, but the speed of disruption, even though there's disruption, maybe a term that's overused, but the speed of innovation seems to be going faster, seems to be like this is why the buzzword Big Bang, because it seems to be going really fast. One of the key things here, and that has to do with a little bit economic theory, is, and economic theory says that for the models in economics usually assume that there's perfect information. Of course, it's not the case. We don't have all the same information, but with the advance of obviously social media and everything that has to do with information online, there's more and more and more information, to the point that there's more noisy signal actually, but meaning that consumers, and I'm talking here about consumer products mostly, but consumers are very well aware of products. It's not enough just to say, oh, it's not the madman era anymore when you can sell something by just giving a very good slogan, and even if it's very clever, or owning a market because you're very geographically limited to it. With the advent of the internet, you have this information. So the information is available to everyone at the same time. So obviously, suddenly that changes the pace of the game, because you can learn about a new product, you can learn about a new feature, you can learn about a new market, you can learn about new things very quickly. And the thing with these disruptors, that's what the authors say, or at least imply, is that suddenly, if a new entrant comes in, this disruptor comes into the market, is able to grab the mindset. So it suddenly says, it's like you say Xerox for photocopying machines. Of course, that's an example of the past, but nowadays, people, when they want to hire a car, more and more they say, I'm going to Uber it. It's becoming a verb, a noun, an adjective. So, and this is also because of the spread of the internet that allows people to suddenly know this information, even though probably Uber is not present in your city, because Uber is not present in all the cities. It might be not even present in your country at all, but you already know about Uber. I'm not saying that the entire world knows about Uber yet, but this is why this is it goes along with the example of Big Bang, is you grind the mindset of everyone, and very quickly people are really wanting to try Uber, even though they don't have Uber in the market. So they actually ask for it to come and ask for it to disrupt the taxi industry, for instance, in that example. So that's one thing. The other thing, this is where the examples we mentioned are mostly examples that have to do with consumer technology, right? When we go into B2B, it's a bit more complicated. This is why I agree with what you said, or what the authors actually implied, that, you know, so computing power is disrupting every single type of industry, and it's true. Every single computer, every industry that has any type of process can be disrupted by computing power, because everything is a process can actually be replaced by a computer that does it faster. It could be more in a more efficient way, in a more repeatable way, with less prone to make mistakes, probably, right? But there are examples, I'm going to just give one. There are examples of industries where this Big Bang thing might not be exactly true. For instance, pharmaceuticals, so the pharma industry. If you think about the pharma industry, obviously there will be stuff in the consumer, so the self-assessment, the wearables, the Nike Pluses and other stuff, Fitbits, that Ivan loves so much. This kind of stuff will obviously change the way we report our information, maybe to the doctor or to the central system of health of your country, whatever that is. That will obviously change. So it will change your self-assessment, how you judge yourself. Have I done enough exercise? Am I eating right, etc. It might also give you some more information to the system, because so they can actually give you a better, your doctor might give you a better assessment of who you are. But so that the disruption happens, especially in healthcare, in the term of the system of healthcare. But when you think about, for instance, medication, if you look at all the current research by big pharma, whether it's Novartis or all the big names, it seems that creating a new brand of medication is actually more and more expensive. So they're actually less and less prone to be able to do that as a disruptor. So basically, if you're a startup, probably you won't be able to create a new medication, because you need currently you need billions of dollars to actually come up with something that works. I know it's a very dry example, and people who love technology don't think about it. But what I'm trying to say here is that the Big Bang disruption is a very interesting concept, although for me it's Christensen just crushed into like a more narrow band. There are stuff that I believe are very interesting, so you should actually read. If you don't want to read the book, we'll put some links about what it did, about some articles that have been written by Accenture. And don't forget, it's actually a research company that does it before consulting companies. It can also be biased, but it doesn't. I mean, even though computing disruptions, digital, like Ivan said, applies to all industries, there are still industries that will be more resistant. So I just mentioned pharma, because by definition it's hard to disrupt pharma. And obviously, and this is something we talked about when we talked about the sharing economy, collaborative economy with Jeremy Haoyang, is that regulation, and I mentioned that earlier, pushback will happen. And we see that with the tax industry. Suddenly, there are, and it's not. I mean, especially if you only read news in the tech industry, if you're heavily involved in the tech industry, you have this kind of feeling that Uber is a good guy, the tax industry is a bad guy. Yeah, well, I understand this point of view, but sometimes it's a little more complicated than that. I'm not here to criticize Uber. I'm just saying that some of the laws that were made for the tax industry were not only to protect the tax industry, because these are the kind of laws I personally don't like, but some of them were actually to protect the consumer. So you're not getting screwed. You're actually getting your destination. You actually have drivers who know where they are, and you're insured in the car when there's an accident. Uber is addressing these issues, by the way. But I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that some regulations, and of course, then you can think about pharma. You don't want a medication that actually kills you. You want to actually have something that actually makes it, your body gets better. So there are also pushbacks, and I don't think that this Big Bang disruption can happen everywhere at the same pace, because of these pushbacks and because of the complexities of some of the industries. Though, and I'll finish with that. I'll give you back the voice, Ivan. Though obviously it doesn't mean that I have regulation, I'm safe. I don't have anything to do. And this is something, for instance, if you think about finance, I mean, the banking sector has a very strong There are very strong regulations, obviously, because we're talking about your money. But there will be, and there are already disruptions, maybe. And it's not because you have regulations that you have to feel safe that nothing will happen and you can pay your way out of with lobbying money. Ivan, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing a very important issue, and if you think about it, the whole element right now. Last week, Apple launched the new iPhone 6, and the Apple Pay. What's the name? Apple Payment.
Yeah, Apple Pay. Right. Yeah, Apple Pay. Yeah.
Apple Pay, which could become very, very disruptive from the point of view of the mobile payment industry.
Yeah.
And everybody's getting excited. And yes, I love the idea of not having my wallet, not having my cards, just grabbing my phone, putting it next to the sensor, and there you go. I'm happy. But then this raises questions, as you say. Okay, who owns the data? What about security? What about the whole nude celebrity photos scandal that they hack? Are they safe enough? And all these elements that they need to be taken into consideration. So yes, disruption is happening. Disruption is a buzzword, we know, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening.
I agree.
All what I think that we can say, and I guess this is a good message to wrap the season. It's again, you need to be aware of what's happening, and you need to be ready to experiment. Thanks to digital technologies, experimentation is cheaper. Experimentation process is faster, and you need to be aware of what's happening and listen to the what's it called, truth tellers like Paul and I and other smart people around, because this is what it's going to be at the end of the day. Might become the norm of business. I love what Brian Solly says. This is the end of business as usual, because everything is changing very, very, very quickly. And well, we really hope that these conversations that we're having between us and with our guests will help you better understand the crazy world we're living in.
Yeah, the crazy world, and the crazy world will continue because obviously it never stops. We don't know yet when season 3 will start, but we promise you it's going to be shortly after this end of season 2. We had a longer season 2 than season 1. I mean, not in number of episodes, but there were more pauses between the episodes because we both have busy schedules with travels, etc. So it was sometimes hard and to actually meet Ivan and myself in front of the screen. And also we want to ensure at least our best to have also a good quality of sound. I promise I'll have a better quality of sound next season, a good quality of sound and a good quality of image. And this also sometimes means that from hotels, the Wi-Fi, because it's, in the pyramid of needs, we need Wi-Fi and battery, and sometimes the Wi-Fi is not really perfect. So, and I think this pace of season will be similar for season 3. So I hope you guys will stick with us when we get back on air. Until then, goodbye. Bye-bye, Ivan.
Goodbye, and see you soon. Ciao.
See you soon. Ciao.